Hi, I'm Nicole.
Sarah.
Hillary.
And we're the hosts of the Feminine Mistake podcast.
Each month we sit down with a guest to watch movies that are 20 years or older.
And see how they hold up to today's modern feminist lens.
Why do mermaids have such low self-esteem?
Why is it so funny when men take care of babies?
What exactly did Jenny die of in Love Story?
These are the kind of hard questions we ask ourselves on the Feminine Mistake podcast. The Feminine Mistake podcast, now available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Podbean. Do you guys think that was okay?
Yeah, I don't know. We sounded kind of shrill.
Really?
Yeah, women's voices are just so grating on the radio.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever heard those guys over at the Nerdist or Last Podcast on the Left? I mean, they're just biologically more funny than we are.
It's so true.
Hey y'all, you're listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two friends gorge themselves on romance novels and then break them down for you each week. This week, we're finishing up The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Get ready for strawberries, wedding drama, and Melody's life motto. Let's jump in. Hi.
Hi.
How are you, Erin?
Good.
Yeah?
We've decided just to start because we don't know any banter to start with.
We can't figure our lives out this week. No.
We can find some. I'm embracing my Slytherinness.
Oh, you know what? Okay, great. You're embracing your Slytherinness. How?
Weirdly, the perfect storm of Harry Potter houses happened this week because we had that discussion because I was thinking about Gammons and Bexleys. And then for some reason, like the Penny Reed Sharks of Awesome blew up with people talking about their Hogwarts houses too. Like at the same time, it was like a weird coincidence.
And I think the Sharks of Awesome is where I got those awesome descriptors of the houses. Yeah, that I sent you. They're so good. Yeah. We'll have to post those on somewhere.
So after we recorded the podcast last week, Melody sent me these like long form poetic descriptions of the Hogwarts houses that were on the Sharks of Awesome Facebook group. And I realize I'm definitely a Slytherin.
Absolutely. There is no question. There is no denying it. You are completely a Slytherin. The only thing on the Ravenclaw one.
The Ravenclaw one, like literally, I tried so hard to embrace it. And it literally made my insides go, ugh. Like there's nothing
Erin,
in there I like.
You're not Winter.
One thing.
No. The only thing that I thought might be something that you would relate to is like towards the end where it was like, you know, don't get on their bad side because once you are like you're done, they will cut you. It's over. They will sever ties. They will defend their own. They will be there for the people they love. And if you are not one of those people, it's over.
The rest of it was like Ravenclaw is staying up late to study. Like Ravenclaw is standing up for what you believe in. Like all these positive things. I love that of the list. The only thing that you're like, oh yeah, it's Erin was the one that's like they will cut you though.
No, but all of the Slytherin positive ones I completely agreed with, but none of the other ones fit.
Yeah,
you know it's true.
Yep. Yeah. I'm not. It's like that text I sent me that was like, but I'm not racist or elitist or mean. Except for sometimes I'm mean. But the other things I don't think I am.
The only thing, like we have to post our text exchange on Insta or somewhere where I was like, oh no, you said, but the Slytherins left. They bailed on Hogwarts during the Battle of Hogwarts. And I was like, Erin, you would have defected by then. You would have either gone to your Ravenclaw brethren or you would have already been on my Hufflepuff trundle bed. Like, you would not be with them.
You
would
have been on your trundle bed.
Hogwarts.
No, I would never have defected my house, though. No, once you choose, that's it. You're done. You're in. Like,
no,
you can't
know what I
defect
mean.
your house.
You would have been like, hey, bitches, you're not staying? I'm staying. Like,
okay. I may have been on your Hufflepuff trundle bed, but I would have still been wearing my colors because that's awful. Can you think of just being like, oh, I'm going to pretend to be a different house right now? No.
Oh, of course not. That's not what I meant. Okay. Also, can we talk about one of the greatest injustices of my being a Hufflepuff?
that you look terrible in yellow?
Oh, yeah. I look so bad in yellow. I would never attempt to put a yellow scarf on you, Erin. That would be absolute tragedy. Only I have to carry that cross, if you will.
I love yellow. Yellow's my favorite color. I have a yellow engagement ring.
I know it's your favorite color, but if it doesn't go with your coloring, like mine, it doesn't. Yeah. It just washes me out.
I don't look good in it. It's just my favorite color.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing is that all the scented candles that are like Hufflepuffian generally are vanilla based and like,
yeah.
They're like vanilla
we hate
or
vanilla.
cake. Or
if you
something.
haven't listened to Hate to Want You yet, Erin and Melody hate vanilla.
They hate vanilla.
Whereas Slytherin candles are clove and cinnamon.
So good. And fall.
Best candles.
And
we
high
have the best
boots.
everything. I
don't know about that.
Proud of being a Slytherin now. I didn't before 1 week ago I was troubled by the fact that I might test Slytherin. Mm-hmm. And now it's my whole thing.
Yeah, you're just embracing it. You're just living your life. I dig it.
Like that horrible coffee pot meme I sent you this week.
Oh my God.
I forget who posted that. But it was a mutual friend of ours. And I just looked at it and I was like, so there, it's like a little drawing of a coffee pot. I don't know why.
We can post this as well.
Yeah, it says your worth is not measured by your productivity. And I looked at it and I just became so enraged because I'm like,
she was like indignant.
What else would it be measured by? Smiles? Like what?
Yes, kindness, Erin, generosity.
Yeah, when I thought about it a little bit. But still, that's not what, those are just qualities. That's not what your worth is measured by.
Oh man. Meanwhile, Erin, the idea that somebody would measure my worth by my productivity actually makes me break out in hives.
I know, that's what you said.
We are so opposite on this. I just had a severe stress reaction to that notion.
Whereas I have a stress reaction the other way.
Yeah.
That like I might be the most productive one and then somebody else gets the whatever because like they're nice. Oh man.
It is really hilarious because
Slytherin,
you and Michael
best
are
friends.
completely the same person in so many ways.
That's why you love me so much.
It's true. It's true. You're Michael with a vagina. Meanwhile, did I tell you that Tanya the other day, a while ago, somebody was listening to the podcast. Oh no, somebody was listening to Michael's podcast who didn't know me or him. Like Tanya got him into it. And he was like, yeah, Michael said that he had a partner so much that I just assumed he had a man, dude, gay partner. Mm-hmm. And Tanya was like, so I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, actually, he basically does because I'm essentially a dude, except I have a vagina. And she was like, that's exactly what I told him. I was like, she would think that is the biggest compliment because really the only thing that's wrong with my marriage is that Michael's not gay enough. You know what I mean? He's such a straight dude.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
I don't know.
I'm just a gay man. I get that. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I dated enough gay men in my adolescence that...
Hilariously, maybe thankfully is a better word for it. Mm-hmm. I've never, ever, I have the best gaydar and I'm never confused about it. I'm like, he's not into me. She's not into me. Whatever.
When I was like a straight up child, like 6 years old, like real little, I had a figure skating boyfriend named Owen. Ooh. And we were like 6 or 7 and he was like, I have to break up with you because I'm gay. Like I remember being like 6 years old and being like, oh, okay.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, that tracks. And then that just set the precedent for many more figure skating boyfriends. Like, why didn't I learn? Like, they chose figure skating. Why would they choose vaginas? Anyway. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, never been into Johnny
it's a choice.
Weir.
I didn't mean it like that. I just meant like, duh. Duh, Erin, duh. Anyway. Oh, and then one more thing I want to mention before we get into it again is, you know how there's the sharks?
Yes.
There's the flamethrowers for Sally Thorne, I figured out between last episode and this one. So if you
I joined that
this
shit.
book, go be a flamethrower on Facebook. It's called Sally Thorne's Flamethrowers, and it's a rowdy little group that you're going to like. And if there's any flamethrowers out there, sup?
Hi.
Hi.
It's nice to be one of you now.
Yeah.
And can I just say, I'm really glad they're called the flamethrowers because A, it's such a wonderful characteristic about this protagonist, but B, I'm already a flamethrower. Like a strong red lip is my thing. I love it.
Yeah. Melody loves a strong red lip.
Oh, boy, do I. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So when we last
Okay.
left off, Erin, do you recall we had
Yeah, Lucy's sick.
Lucy is
She's at
super
her house.
sick.
She has failed at hydration. She is one of the worst hydrators I think I've seen in a romance novel so far.
Bitch had a virus.
Also, Beauty and the Mustache had a pretty terrible hydrator as well. We haven't talked about that book, but she did not hydrate. She passed out like every 5 minutes. So Lucy, second place, terrible hydrator,
Fair.
is very sick.
Yeah,
throwing
and
up in her house.
Joshua has taken her home. She has gotten into her Sleepysaurus t-shirt and sleep shorts, passed out. Intermittently, she's waking up and he's holding the giant Tupperware that she uses to bring cakes and cupcakes into the office as like a barf bucket for her. And last episode we already talked about when she started strangling him and she saw him smile and
He
laugh for the
smiled.
first time.
And it
was
cracked open the
glorious.
earth, and she's going to remember it forever. And I read that whole passage. Okay, so that's where we left off. The next thing that happens is she wakes up and there's a doctor there, a house call doctor in sweatpants.
And my
who looks
favorite thing. Sorry, she's so delirious that she jumps into Joshua's lap and she's like, no, don't let them take me, because in her fevered delirium, she absolutely cannot handle her life. Wait, have I told you about one of the times my dad got really sick?
No.
Okay, it's ultimately a sad story, but this one part is so deliciously wonderful that it like keeps me warm at night. So he has a really high fever. We're sitting in the hospital room. I'm waiting for like doctors to come in and out because it's the ER and like you wait forever. And so he's laying there shivering and I'm snuggled up next to him trying to keep him warm, even though he has a fever. I was young. And and he goes,
He was just like Lucy, which is like, you've got a fever. And she was like, no, cold. I'm cold. Anyway, all right. Yeah. Sorry.
yeah. So I'm snuggled up next to him and he goes, all right, Maudie, you got to grab all of the less aggressive furniture in the room. We're going to pile it up and we're going to burn it.
The least aggressive furniture.
Yeah.
What would that even be in a hospital room? All the furniture in there is so aggressive.
So aggressive, right? And it's all like metal and not flammable. Oh, Papa Bear. He was so sick.
Man.
He said a lot of other fevered shit, but that's really what sticks in my brain.
Well, the $1 million question is like, did you gather any of the furniture to appease him?
I got up and I pushed the chairs together and he was like, that's gonna make a great fire.
Plastic hospital chairs.
Yep.
Oh, man.
So then, sorry, there's a doctor here. And, what?
Sorry, it's a story I can't. It's too weird.
Are you
I don't
sure?
know. Well, so David and I were in the ER last week. It's not important why. But we were in the ER, and every time one of us is in an ER room, which happens surprisingly often,
I was
like,
gonna say.
but like every time we play a game, because you wait forever every time you're in the ER.
Yeah.
Like you wait forever in that room, and like sometimes there's a TV, but sometimes there's not. And we play Find the Blood.
Oh no, that's amazing.
Because it's, you know, a lot of blood sprays everywhere in those rooms, and
That's
it's
right.
impossible to clean it all up. Like, and so
The orderlies work really hard.
It's like I
but-
Spy. Yeah, it's like I Spy, only it's Find the Blood. And anyway, I was just thinking about how we played Find the Blood last week. It was super fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So there's
Anyway.
this doctor and he's tall and handsome, and Lucy, after she jumps into Josh's lap, is like, you're good looking. And then Josh immediately like puts a vice grip around her shoulders, like, mine.
Mine.
And then it's super cute.
Well, no, he also says she must be really, really delirious. Like, don't listen to what she's saying.
So she figures out that they're brothers, and it's super cute because she tries to get like embarrassing stories out of his brother. And then finally she's like, you know what? Actually, I'm sorry, guys. You're right. Josh is more attractive. And he at that point, he relaxes a little bit. So,
then she overhears the conversation.
Yeah. So after he's all done with her, and after she's thoroughly sussed out that Josh is better looking and told both of them, they go outside in the other room, and Lucy like sneaks up so she can hear what they're saying because she's a little creep. Like, this is an ongoing trend. Lucy is a creeper, and I cannot co-sign hard enough. So he's saying to Joshua, I forget the brother's name. Thomas? Patrick. Yep.
Yeah.
So Patrick's like, were you ever going to RSVP to the wedding? Because it's my wedding. So you're going to need to be there. And Joshua is very, I don't know. He's just not having it. He doesn't really want to commit either way. And Patrick's like, well, I would assume that you'd bring Lucy. So I'm just going to say yes. I'm going to put the RSVP down as yes and +1. All right. Great. Can't wait. Like, whatever. And he alludes to something that's a little wonky. He's like, Mindy, Patrick's fiance, thinks that there's now some sort of feud that's in the family for some reason.
I mean, you called this right away, right? Like,
yes,
this was
completely.
So clear what was happening.
Yeah.
It frustrated me that Lucy took so long. I don't know. Anyway, I was like, come on, Luce. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Okay, so he's going to the wedding.
Yeah, and then the rest of the night is just spent with, like, every once in a while she'll wake up and he's in her bed, or he's like tidied her house up. It's very cute. So the next morning she wakes up and she is completely mortified and starts freaking out.
Because she has mascara all over her face and she looks like a crazy raccoon person.
And she notices during the night that she was in a red tank top that she didn't know she got into. And then when she wakes up, she realizes that she's in another shirt that she has no idea how she got into. And meanwhile, she's wearing like the worst beige bra ever. Like, I own this bra, and it is not for public consumption or private consumption either. Like, nobody should see these bras. And her low-key crush has seen it all. So she's freaking out. She comes out and basically just like kicks him out. She's just like, I can't handle this. Like, don't worry, I'll be fine. You need to go. And she tells him not to use any of this against her in the interviews. And he's like, oh, come the fuck on, Lucinda. Like, me knowing the consistency of your vomit is going to help me in the interviews. Get out of here. And so he leaves.
She's so mean to him. I mean, he's mean to her, but like when it becomes clear that he's super crazy in love with her, she's such an asshole to him.
I know.
It's the worst.
Well, and frankly, he loves it.
Yeah, I know, but like he just took care of her for like 3 days. He brought a doctor in. He caught her vomit.
Night. It was one night.
Whatever. There was at least one night he slept over.
That's it. And then, because that was the Friday.
This whole thing was one night?
One night. Yep. That was Friday into Saturday morning. She kicks him out Saturday morning. And then she says she spends the rest of the weekend like sulking and freaking out and beating herself up.
Oh my God, you're right.
Because the more she remembers about how she acted and how he took care of her, the worse she feels about her freak out.
I was just thinking like he changed her so many times.
Oh, yeah.
There was like all these wake ups and fall asleeps. I don't know. Anyway,
he changes her bed sheets at some point. It's so sweet.
He cleans her fucking apartment. Like,
yeah.
he cleans her apartment for her.
That's more of a nervous tick than anything else.
Sure, but it's nice.
It is.
I mean, wouldn't you like just
I would fucking
up?
love that.
Yeah. But anyway, and then she's like, get out. Don't use it against me. I don't know. It's just so mean. Okay.
Yeah. So then Monday morning rolls around. She's gotten up really early because she's super nervous and she's trying to kill time on a Smurf website. But then she gets a call and it's Danny. This fucking creeper is at her front door and he's like, hey, listen, I know I don't work there anymore, but like, do you want to ride into work? She's like, yeah,
that's
sure,
like a
I
really
guess.
weird, super weird. I mean, he has to go to work for something, like to get his stuff or something.
A letter of recommendation. But
so
that
he's
can
already
happen at
going
any
there.
point. But not at
Yeah, but it's
6:30 in the
still-
GD morning.
Yeah, right? Like, that's weird, right?
Yeah, this is Danny is a douche part 2. Are you ready? He shows up because he is peeing in a circle around her. Joshua spent all weekend. He mentions that Joshua spent the night basically either screening him or answering and being like, stop fucking calling.
That's
I'm
right.
busy. So he shows up on Monday morning so that he can act like they might have seen each other over the weekend and or spent the night. So that he can walk in to work. He deposits her at her desk. Oh, I'm sorry. Then we have to talk about Danny is a douchebag part 3, right? Because she comes down. I hate this guy. She comes down.
I know, but like with such fury, like with an
Venom.
Erin fury is how much you hate him, and I
much
just
hate.
didn't make me so mad. Anyway,
Don't
go,
worry.
go.
You're gonna get on board as soon as I keep going. Okay.
I'm not on board. Okay, go.
So she comes
Let's do
down.
it.
She's really washed out and pale, and she looks like awful because she's been violently ill all weekend and probably hasn't been able to keep much down. So she comes down and he like does a grossed out double take. He grimaces a little bit at how she looks. And I am not here for it. And then, so she goes to the corner store to get Joshua a little thank you gift. And he shows up with daisies, which like fine.
You
Shows up
hate
with
daisies now?
No, I don't hate
Whatever.
daisies. I actually like them more than roses, at least red roses,
Yeah.
but still. So
I was gonna say, like, if anyone prefers daisies to roses, it's Melody Carlisle.
doesn't matter, doesn't fucking matter. And actually, I prefer tulips to everything else. Okay. So
All right.
shows up with daisies. They're in the car, and Lucy's like trying to get a hold of her feelings because she's like, under any other circumstances, if like pre-kiss with Joshua, I would be totally into this guy, completely and utterly. But now he looks a bit waifish. He looks a bit young. He looks a bit just like not to the standards I want anymore, essentially. And she's like trying to talk herself out of it. So she's like, oh, by the way, I never thanked you for the roses. And he goes, you mean daisies? And she's like, oh, yeah, well, these are daisies. And I'm like, second fucking time around. Instead of being like, what do you mean roses? Instead of looking at her and saying, this is a competent human being with at least 3 working brain cells. She probably knows that these are daisies, not roses. His assumption is to be like, oh, you stupid woman. They're daisies. Haven't you ever seen a daisy before? Fuck you, dude. His assumptions are he can go fuck himself.
Whereas big dummy Erin, this is the first time I realized that Josh is under the roses. I was like, oh, I'm a dummy. Turns out. But
This fucking
Lucy
guy.
still doesn't fucking realize. Lucy doesn't know.
No, and Lucy, how dare you? If Joshua had been like, you mean daisies? She would have been like, no, fucker, I mean roses.
I think we just have to imagine that the year or so of just complete horrible treatment from Josh and like, just untapped aggression between the two of them has made her blind to the possibility that Josh sent the roses in a way that we as the reader, I cannot accept that Lucy is this big of a dummy.
No,
So,
I
I'm just gonna
completely
put it on that
I
lens.
completely agree with you there. My point was, if Joshua had made the assumption that she mislabeled 2 types of flowers, she would have called him on it immediately. And with this guy, she's like, this is weird. This is such a nice guy. He's such a nice guy. Nice guys would never assume that I have the intellect of a half-dead baboon. You know?
Well, we know how we feel about nice guys. Heaving Bosoms podcast is not about nice guys. No
okay,
more
you know what?
nice
We
guys.
we like nice guys. We don't like nice guys. Different.
Yeah, we like kind guys. We don't
Yes.
like nice guys.
That's right.
As
That's
we
right.
said in the last episode, no Severus Snapes. No. I can't remember what other nice guys we've hated.
Oh man,
man.
Julia Quinn Duke and I had a really good nice guy.
Yeah, there was like a quintessential nice guy. Oh yeah, it was that guy that she beat
Duke
up in
and
the
I.
hallway.
That's right.
Yeah, Duke and I.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She cocked him one like he deserved.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nice guys.
Okay. All right. So this fucking nice guy drops her off at work. He doesn't. Oh, I'm sorry. If he were a kind, generous guy, he would have dropped her off at work. But no, he's a nice guy. So he parks in the 20-minute parking, gets on the elevator with her, goes past his floor up to the top floor so that he can rub in Joshua's face that he is with her at like 7 a.m. This fucktard. So she shows up. Joshua is obviously like, you don't work here anymore. Get the fuck out. And Danny's like, we're really going to have to talk about your big brother attitude. And Josh is like, yep, nobody messes with my little sister. And Lucy's a dummy. And she's like, I don't really like that.
Yeah.
So
maybe Lucy is a dummy.
No, she's
Lucy
not.
a dummy? Does she deserve this promotion? Okay, all right, okay.
Erin.
Sorry.
Okay. So, no, you know what? Lucy's just a tiny bit oblivious. So this fucking guy makes sure to hand her the daisies again with a flourish. And then he kisses her on the cheek right in front of Joshua. And she's like, I feel like that was a power move, and I think I like him less because of it. Which I cannot find any fault in that logic. That seems like pure, unadulterated wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, true, kind of. But, like, there's a lot of reasons not to like Danny. And Josh makes a lot of power moves throughout this book in front of Danny. Like, they both do this all the time at each other. So it's a weird reason for her to, like, put the death knell on Danny because, like, Josh does the same shit all the time. Like, I don't know.
That's true.
Get mad at Danny for all the other shit he does.
But you know what? Danny's pheromones are unmatched to Joshua's. So, I mean, I can forgive a heroine a lot because somebody smells nice to your core. You know what I mean?
Fair. Yeah. And he also put on a t-shirt and he was all like spindly in the t-shirt. And she was like, ugh.
I mean, she's got a type now. It is Joshua.
Yeah.
All right. So he leaves and he's like, hey, we should get dinner tonight. Let me know. And she's like, maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
So then now Joshua is pissed and he's like, you should have had him stay. If you wanted it to be him, you should have said that he should stay with you, not me. And I think that is so fair. Also, Danny sees a red rose on her keyboard and he's like, oh, look at that. Romance isn't dead. And blah, because Joshua put a red rose on her keyboard. So then Joshua starts thoroughly punishing her. And he goes to take the rose back. She goes to swipe it out of his hand, and her palm gets cut by the thorn. And then she grabs his shirt cuff and gets blood on it. And he's just like, ugh, you should disinfect that. Like, get away from me. I can't even handle you right now. So he cold shoulders her all day. She's trying. And she's like, I'll dry clean your shirt. I'll do this and that. I'll go to the wedding with you. And he's like, you shouldn't. He's basically like, you shouldn't promise something you don't mean to keep. But he doesn't actually say that out loud. And then she's like, well, I wanted to thank you for this weekend. And he goes, okay, so are those daisies for me? Which prompts her to remember her thank you gift. And she brings out a box of strawberries because the night he stayed with her, he asked her all about Sky Diamond Strawberries, the place she's from. And he tells her that he loves strawberries more than anything in like the whole wide world. And it's so sweet. So she gets him a carton of strawberries with a bow on it. And then he gets up to leave, right? He gets up to go to the kitchen or something, and she follows him because she has to fix it right now. She's freaking out. So she follows him. She pushes him up against a wall, and she's like, you're going to listen to me. This is going to happen. And I don't know. Then somebody starts coming down the hall, so she pushes him into a janitor closet.
Yeah. So in the meantime, Danny has called her and said, or texted her and said, like, I've got a table for tonight at super snazzy restaurant. Yeah. And she was like, she hadn't even really agreed to have dinner with him. She had given him kind of a maybe.
That's
and when
right.
he says he has the table, she's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm still feeling like really not great. And I don't really want to go to a snazzy restaurant tonight. Like, that doesn't sound fun to me. And he's kind of like insistent. He's like, well, it's very serious to get a table here.
She says that it's hard to get a reservation in her inner monologue. And so she's like,
okay.
I guess,
I thought
yeah.
he said that.
No, he's not that big of a douche.
But anyway, so she agrees to go on the date with him. Josh hears that. So now they're in the janitor closet.
Yeah.
And
isn't it? She was like, okay. She goes, all right, I just want to be friends or something. And he goes, okay, hold the phone. What does or something mean? She's like, what do you mean? She's like, you said you wanted to be friends or something. What does or something look like?
Right.
I just want to know what my options are. And she's like, I don't know. I guess not hating each other. I guess like something. I don't know. So then she starts like basically climbing him like a spider monkey because they're in a closed space. She can smell all of him. She's like, all right, well, maybe or something will involve kissing. And he's like,
kiss me. And he's like, ooh,
really?
the or something game involves kissing. So they make out a little, right?
Well, no, ma'am. No, they do not.
I'm sorry.
Yes, and I will. This is what I was going to fight you about last episode because, because this is in fact the best scene of the whole book. The closet scene.
This is?
Oh, yeah. For me, it was. Because here's the thing.
I thought you were going to say the elevator scene was. This is your favorite scene. Okay.
This is my favorite scene. Here's why. Nothing, like, usually, everybody knows me. I like literal shit on the page.
Boner.
No, it's not.
Happening.
It's not even that. No, it's not even that.
Okay.
It's that it's a surprising scene for me because usually I do not like less is more. Usually I'm like, show me what is happening on the page, make it graphic, say the words, spend 30 pages on it. Like, let's get to it.
I feel like if there was a Melody Carlisle slogan, it would be more is more.
More is more.
Across the board. More is more, Melody Carlisle. Yes.
So a while ago, my friend made me business cards because he said I was talking to him about the fact that I know how to butcher things, and he was like, "Wait, so you know how to can you make bacon out of this?" And I was like, "Yes, I can make bacon out of anything with a loin. I can make bacon out of you." And so he made me business cards that say, Melody Carlisle, I can make bacon out of you.
I made business cards for Shady one time, our mutual friend Shady, that just had her face. It was in like a black and white drawing of her face, like a stamp, and it said Shady, and then it said, I know where you live. And then on the back was a phone number of one of our other mutual friends who we decided would act as her secretary. She handed those out to everybody. Anyway.
That's amazing. But now I want business cards. Yeah, I can make bacon out of you. Now I want business cards that say Melody Carlisle, more is more.
More is more.
That's right. Okay. So this is the best scene of the book, in my humble opinion, because
I was just thinking of having business cards that were like Erin McCarthy, worth is productivity. This is the most totalitarian, like, fascist slogan. I think productivity is worth.
And yet so you.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Sorry. They're in the closet. They're putting their hands on each other.
Well, yeah, and I'm telling you that this is the best scene in the book because nothing happens. They don't touch hardly at all. Like, they're touching a lot, but there's no kissing. There's no nothing. Basically, she, at one point, she presses up against him. She's pulling herself onto him. She's trying to grab the nape of his neck because she's really small. She's asking him to kiss her. She's like, put your hands on me. And he says, put your hands on yourself. So he holds out his hands and she places them on her body. And he's he's like, grabbing and kneading and stuff, but he's not moving around. And he reaches down and picks up her leg so that he's cradling her leg. And she puts one of his hands on her breast and then he starts like playing with her cleavage and everything. It was so hot, yet nothing happened.
Yeah. And she says
hot.
Oh, so this is how sex with you would be. Like, I hope maybe you would like do a little more. And he's like, I would do so much to you, you couldn't walk for a week or something like that. And she was like, ooh, all right.
Yeah.
Which is probably true because she's 5 feet tall and he's like 7 feet tall. So
obviously.
Fair.
Yeah. And I'm just saying that most of the time, delayed gratification pisses me off. And in this one, I was just like drooling. I was just on the floor. I was a puddle. Best scene in the book. Okay. You know what?
Melanie
I think it was
Carlisle,
probably the best
gratification
scene.
now.
Yes. More is more. Okay. So he says, all right, I need you to do me a favor. He totally backs away from her. And he's like, I need you to do me a favor. Before we can play the or something game, you need to go on this date with Danny and you have to kiss him. And she's like, we've said a lot of fucked up things to each other, but this has to take the cake.
Right.
And he's like, I'm not gonna be your experiment while you have Mr. Right or like Mr. Nice Guy in the wings. You need to figure it out. If you want him, if you like him, if it works for you, then like enjoy your life.
Right.
If not, you have to tell me to my face.
Well, yeah, he says the friends or something game will not continue until she kisses Danny and then looks at him and says, no one kisses me like you do, Josh.
Yeah.
Seems like you liked this.
I did.
Oh, man.
So
okay.
then she goes on the date. And it is Lame Town. And he spends most of the time talking about Joshua because he's getting a vibe. And it's a bad move, Danny. Like, we know this from every season of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. You do not talk about the other contestants.
Don't talk about the other guys. Just make it compartmentalized. Make it about the two of you.
That's right.
And he talks a lot about work. They talk a lot about work. It's no good.
Lame Town.
Yeah.
So they go out to her car. She's like all gussied up in a pretty red dress and her makeup's done and all that. And they go out to her car and he's like, I'd like to kiss you now. And she's like, that would be nice. Yeah. And so he kisses her and there are no sparks. There's no nothing. And she pulls back and she's like, ugh, it was like kissing your cousin. Like, it's just wrong. And she's like, maybe I should make sure. And she leans in again. And he's like, oh, you know what, Lucy, you're a great girl. You're all the great things. And she's like, maybe we should just be friends. And he looks crestfallen because he didn't get to say it first. Because he's a douche.
Yeah, he's a douche. He just doesn't make me as mad as he makes you.
So she gets into her car and she puts Joshua's address. Oh, because we forgot to tell them.
And he's like, well,
no,
you know, what
yet,
happened? The suspense is killing me. Oh.
No, not yet. No,
What?
Okay.
What?
I don't. Oh, we forgot two things because I wasn't looking at the notes I actually have. Sorry, listener. Two things. One, Mr. Bexley catches her as she's coming out of the closet and she has to make up a whole story. Yeah. She has to make up a whole story about how Joshua was going to get him coffee and donuts. Yeah. So then Joshua comes back but he also has a hot chocolate for her and a strawberry glazed donut for her, or frosted, whatever. Sweet. I don't know donut lingo. Super sweet. And then glazed versus frosted, I think, are two different things.
I know, yes, but I am stunned. Like, I am fucking floored that you don't know donut lingo.
Oh, the weird thing about me, I love all sweets. I'm not a big fan of donuts.
What?
Yeah, like, I'll take a bagel over a donut every time.
If this were Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and it was like the $100,000 question, and it was donut question, and I could phone a friend, you would be my friend. No! I would have phoned you.
Well, I would have Googled so hard. Yeah. But it would be
And again,
rough.
I live with a law enforcement officer, and I would have called you.
No, don't ever call me. Not for donuts. Oh, no.
I won't now. Now I know. Okay, so he gets her a donut. That was sweet. Oh, also, that's how my parents fell in love. My dad got my mom a donut. Yeah, he got her a special donut. They worked together at a camera store.
Okay.
And, you are so involved with this story. Listener, her hands are like on her face on either side of her cheek. Like, okay. So he went to get donuts, I think, for the office, and he got everybody the same donut, but he got my mom a special chocolate frosted donut, and then went over to her and was like, this donut is special for you. And my mom has made fun of that forever. She's like, that was the lamest hit on, like, It's like, he got me a special donut.
It worked though, didn't it, Elaine?
Yeah, exactly. It worked. And they've been married 30-something years or something like that.
Oh, that's the sweetest. Yeah, that would have been a swing and a miss for me.
Well, it's a good thing he did fondue instead. All right. Right?
Indeed. No s'mores.
Yeah. I thought you guys went to the fondue place.
Oh, yeah, but we made s'mores at the fondue place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So remember how she kissed the Post-it and put it on his desk?
Uh-huh.
He writes his address on a Post-it and gives it to her. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So the lame date with Danny is lame and done.
It is over.
And so she puts the address into her GPS and then curses the GPS woman all the way to his house, being like, stop giving me directions to his house, lady. Why are you doing this? Because
you bitch, this is my ruin.
I love her so much. And then she shows up. She's sitting in her car outside the apartment. And this is, I think, when he texts her. He's like, it's so cute. He's like, how's the date? Suspense, etc. And she doesn't respond to him. She just decides that since she's here, she's going to take a walk around his apartment just to, see what it's like.
Just a stroll.
Just a stroll to see what Josh sees, to live in Josh's shoes.
Yeah.
So she's going around his apartment and she's such a creep. Oh my God. So she comes out front and he's out on the sidewalk. Oh, because he texted again to be like, I'm kind of annoyed now. Like,
where
let
are
me
you?
know.
What's going on? Yeah.
Right. And so he hears her heels and turns around and she stops dead. They're like 20 paces away from each other. The banter here is off the chain. He's saying something about, he makes a mention of the fact that she's walking on stilts because of her heels. And she's like, well, all the better to look through your trash with. And he goes, find anything good in there? She goes, vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, adult diapers.
Yeah.
And so then they keep on coming towards each other and he's like, so how was the date? Let me know. And she was like, the date was fine. And he's like, you need more than fine. You need better than fine. And she's like, I don't though. He's right up against her. And she says that she goes to push him away, but just ends up grabbing his shirt and pulling him closer instead.
And she's like, I have no idea why I'm even here. And he's like, you do now. And then she's like, nobody kisses me like you do. And then it's fucking on. It's on.
And then he gives her his patented first date kiss, which is sweet but long and chaste but hot. And,
it's real good.
And then they stand there and he's just holding her up, like he's just hugging her while she's just dangling from his arms. And a couple walks by and the woman looks back at them with hearts in her eyes. Like, it's so cute. God, it's so cute. Okay, here's my next question for you, Erin, because I have a big question.
Yes.
She is like, well, my car's over there. And he's like, my apartment's over here. And she just starts sprinting to her car. Yeah, and that's the end of the chapter. So then the next chapter opens and she says,
if I go upstairs, I know what's going to happen. And he's like, oh, what's going to happen? And she's like, eep. And then that's when she just runs.
Yeah. And like they've already decided, or she has mandated that if they have sex, then it's one time only. Like, that's it. Because she wants to have like some control over the or something game. And she wants to make sure, she wants to protect her heart, basically, because she's very intuitive, our Lucy. So here's my question, though. The author says when they go into the house, into the apartment building, that he puts her under his arm like a newspaper and takes her inside. Now, the visual I immediately got was he is standing up and he's basically carrying her by the waist.
Yes.
Like her feet are off the ground.
Yeah, her feet are behind him.
She's the visual you got too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I was fine with it.
I was fine with that. I just was confused because I don't think the author ever says that she gets put down at any point. So I didn't know if I was wrong and she was just like nestled up in his shoulder and like walking next to her or what. But I'm perfectly okay with her being carried bodily into his house. Because he's like,
Well,
I've had a snoop in your house. Like, you get to look around and invade my privacy because, you know, fair is fair, basically. He just wants to spend more time with her.
well, I thought you might have a problem with him, like, carrying her up to his bedroom.
No, I just wasn't sure
Okay.
which one it was. Yeah. Okay, so they spend this night. She is an absolutely insane person. She literally picks through his apartment with a fine-tooth comb. She's like carrying around a Matchbox car.
And she finds things. Like, she
Uh-huh.
finds like a little origami bird that she once flicked at him during a meeting. And she finds a
Uh-huh.
Post-it that
It's on his
has
fridge.
the lipstick on it. And maybe that's it. But I thought that was very cute.
It was so cute and so indicative of his deep and abiding love, you know?
Right. And his apartment is really like neat and clean and well decorated. And
gorgeous,
her apartment is the worst. And his bedroom is painted in this beautiful blue, robin's egg blue color that she loves.
Like Tiffany blue, my favorite color.
Mm-hmm.
Then he's like, we're going to do something weird, Shortcake. We're going to sit on the couch and watch an episode of ER together. And they hold hands.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, she's just staring at him while he watches TV. And she's trying to size up how big he is. And she's like, he looks over at me and I jump because I wonder if he knows that I'm sizing up his rib cage like a meat-eating predator. She's such a quirky, weird heroine. I love it.
I think it's this night where he tells her about being a doctor. Does he tell her this night?
One of them. It doesn't really matter. She sees a bunch of medical textbooks and he's like, I did the first year of med school and then I dropped out. But his whole family, his parents are surgeons and his brother's also a doctor. He might also be a surgeon. And so she's basically the whole time being like, so are you going to take me to your bedroom now or in 15
like when is
minutes?
this going to happen? Yeah.
Like, we're going to do it, right? And he tells her that, no, it's not going to happen tonight because he needs more time. And she's like, it's only 10:30. And he's like, no. You don't understand. If I only get
It's
one
work
time,
night.
I'm going to need days. I'm going to need like weeks. Like, let's not, don't even mess with me.
Is this when he tells her about his Easter egg?
Yeah, his Easter bunny.
Ah.
Yeah, when he was younger, his brother would eat his chocolate bunny immediately, and he would keep his until his birthday, which is like late June. And she's like, so, okay, first of all, I love the fact that she's like, is it terrible that a childhood story about two young brothers is turning me on?
Yeah, two young brothers eating chocolate bunnies is like making her all hot and bothered.
Yeah, and she's like, so did you take like small bites of it at a time, or did you save it completely and like eat it all at once? And he was like, well, I guess you're just gonna find out, aren't you? Ooh.
Yeah.
So he walks her down, and they see each other at work the next day. Oh no, he says he has the day off. He has the day off the next day. He's not going to be in. And she has a Matchbox car. She's still holding a Matchbox car. And he's like, just keep it, I guess. Like, you weirdo.
Well, she had made some comments about how he has like the best body ever. And he was like, oh, so you just want me, like, you're just objectifying me. You just want me for my body. And so that kind of became a joke. She stole his Matchbox car, and so she sends him flowers to his apartment from work because she's thinking about him that says, I don't want you for just your body. I want you for your Matchbox cars. Which
It's
is very
the cutest.
Cute. Yeah.
It's the cutest. And then later on, she's at home and she's like, I've got nothing to do. And yet I'm showering and I'm getting dressed in cute jeans and I'm putting on makeup and I'm not really sure why. And then all of a sudden she dials Joshua and then immediately hangs up. And within 30 seconds, he calls her back and he's like, so don't tell me you like butt dialed me.
Right.
And she goes, no, I didn't. I
want to come over to your house.
I have no food and I'm bored. And he's like, well, better come over then. And so she's like, all right, now we're playing the racing game. He's at the gym and he says, you know, it's going to take him a while. Like, give him half an hour, give him an hour. And she's like, I'm out the door. I'm coming. Because she wants to see him all sweaty and smelling delicious. So she says that she like is at red lights, like nervously cackling all the way to his house. And she runs into his lobby, opens the door. He's in the elevator. And so she just jumps on him like a koala bear and
that's a
continues koala-ing him.
Aren't koala bears aren't they
They're
notoriously not sexy though? Or is that panda bears?
Oh, panda bears are notoriously not sexy. Yeah, they're going extinct because they refuse to have sex, and then they keep on rolling over onto their spawn. So, dumbasses.
It's Michael that hates panda bears, right?
Yeah, he doesn't like pandas, but the weird thing is that both his mother and sister are obsessed with pandas, love pandas.
That's probably why he hates pandas.
Well, yeah, he's just it's not like they're being hunted to extinction. They just are so bad at having sex. They would rather eat bamboo all day. You don't deserve to be on Earth.
All right, but she's jumping him like a koala bear, which is different.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Very different. And koalas are more vicious than anything else.
Okay.
They're apparently pretty mean.
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, all the way she holds on to him all the way up into his apartment, and it's so cute because she keeps saying things like, "Don't mind me. I'm just live your life like I'm not here." And he's like, "Every man should get this welcome home."
Yeah. And he slaps her on the ass, and then he feels that there's something in there. And she's brought him a Smurf.
Yeah, she brought him Grumpy.
We didn't
Smurf.
mention that when he was at her house, there was a whole display case of all her Smurfs lit up in her house. That was the only organized thing, was all her Smurfs. Anyway, she brought him a Grouchy Smurf. And she's like, I have 10 of them. I'm like, Grouchy is a really popular Smurf, which is hilarious. The idea that there is a popular Smurf is ridiculous to me, but okay.
Absolutely.
I'm a Bexy. Okay, so...
Yes, you are. So, they spend that night. He makes her an omelet, and they're just so cute.
Yeah, he has a very healthy dinner situation because he has all the muscles.
Yeah, and he's like, go sit down on the couch, just make yourself at home. And she goes, I'm like a little duchess when I'm here. And he's like, well, sometimes big monsters secretly just want to spoil little duchesses. And it's so cute. And then they watch another episode of ER, and they just hang the hell out. Oh, and then we get the couch makeout.
Yeah,
because
makeout.
He has this picture of Tuscany, and
oh yeah,
she's just trying to get to know him. So she keeps on asking him all these questions, like, what would you take to a desert island? The answer is 2 practical things and a Lucy. And then she talks about, asks him about the Tuscan painting, and he's like, my ideal vacation is right there. I would be there with this really beautiful girl, and we would do all the things, and I would feed her carbs. And she's like, this sounds like the best vacation ever. And
he says his dream vacation is Guy Diamond strawberries.
Oh, yeah, it is really cute. And then she's like, well, once we were on the desert island, how would we pass the time? And he goes, probably like this. And he pulls her up into his lap, and then they start making out, and it is super hot. Super good.
It's really
good. He's
good.
Letting her control the whole thing. It's really excellent. Oh, and during that dinner, he gives her some vanilla ice cream, and she's like, well, have a bite. And so he takes one bite, and she goes, you should treat yourself to something small each night. No point in being cruel to yourself. And he goes, something small, huh? He looked at me pointedly. Okay. Ooh.
Yeah, it's good. He talks about her cardigans and how he likes it when her hair's up and she's got red lips and she's wearing cardigans like a sexy librarian, and it's all good. It's all good stuff.
So the next day at work, this is when all hell breaks loose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure. Earlier in the book, she had done her presentation for Ellen at some point when Joshua wasn't at work. She did her presentation for Ellen for the interview, to be like, what do you think? What should I add? What's going to get me this job? And Mr. Bexley overheard it. So Mr. Bexley's walking by while they're at work. They're having a really cute morning of flirtation and adorableness. Then this fucker walks by and he's like, all right, well, Dr. Josh, we're probably going to have to rethink strategy because, Lucy's really ready for this interview.
Right.
And he keeps on needling him and he keeps on looking at Lucy's body in a really weird way. And Josh's just pissed off. So he's like, I'm not going to need any help beating her. And
Yeah.
she's like,
That upsets Lucy.
No. Yeah, she's like,
Yeah.
he's not my friend. He's my nemesis and my competition and all the things. So as soon as Bexley leaves, Josh is like, I didn't mean that. And she's like, well, could have fooled me. Definitely fooled me. I've got a coffee meeting. I got to go. And he's like, wait, you're leaving before we get this sorted out? And she's like, yeah, let me go be good at my job. Like, bye.
And her coffee meetings with fucking Danny because he's going to help her design the thing she's got to do for the project. Because the project she can't use company resources for. Danny's the only designer she knows that doesn't work for the company that she could like pay at a lower rate out of her personal funds. So she was meeting him so that they could discuss like her paying him like $300 to design the thing for her project.
Yeah.
Ugh. So she's like, I have a coffee meeting, a workplace coffee work meeting. And then she goes, and then when she goes to meet with Danny, then Josh shows up. Josh shows up to get a coffee, and he sees her there with Danny, and it's just the worst.
Josh just does not show up to get a coffee.
Yeah, he does.
No, he shows up. He didn't want coffee. He could have gone to the break room for
I
coffee.
know that, but
He
just
shows
saying
up
he's there
because
at the
he
coffee
is-
shop. Ugh.
Yes, he is
Ugh.
anxious and he's worried about what's going on. And then he sees that she's with Danny. Oh, because the night before, when they were making on the couch, he was like, hey, I need to ask you a question. When you called me, did you almost call Danny? And she was like, oh, maybe. He's the smart choice.
God, Lucy, you're so
Blah, blah, blah.
such a dummy. She is a dummy. She's a dummy. And then when they run into Josh,
She's just
like,
oblivious.
oh, God, she's the worst. Like, know when you've got a good thing, Lucy. Know when you've got a good thing going. So then she goes up to Josh and she's like, Josh, Danny was just helping me with my ... presentation. Like, just don't be weird, Lucy.
Right.
Just be like, Danny's helping me with my presentation. He's doing a design thing. I'm sorry. I love you, Josh. I love you. Don't worry about it. So then Josh is like, oh, is that what we were doing last night on my couch? Was I helping you with your presentation? And it's rough.
And Danny
she's
goes
like,
bug-eyed, and she's like, alert, alert, emergency, SOS, Mayday, and immediately like takes Danny away. Because nobody at the company can know.
yeah. Because they work together.
They should not
and
be
there's
fraternizing.
HR stuff. Oh, gosh.
So many HR
And so
things.
Danny's like such a gossip hound. He's going to tell everybody. And so she just goes, in your dreams, Templeton.
Yeah, in your dreams, Templeton. So they go back up, and Josh is like, so him, huh? You want to hang out with him, huh? You want to date him, huh? And she's like, we're just friends. He's helping me with a work thing. And he's like, so you're ashamed of me, but you're not ashamed of Danny. And she's like, no.
He doesn't work here anymore.
Yeah. So she's like, you know what? I want a modicum of decorum to be reestablished while we're in this office together. And he's like, fine. If this is the last personal thing I say to you, then bring an overnight bag that's fully packed on Friday because we're leaving on Friday to go to the wedding. You promised. You can't back out. You're a woman of your word. You've got a code of honor. Bring your fucking overnight bag. And she's like, so then the next 2 days breeze by. I'm so glad we didn't have to read about them because they're just excruciating.
Yeah. Well, is it Friday that he has the huge argument with Mr. Bexley? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's Friday morning. Huge, crazy argument with Mr. Bexley.
Yeah.
Where
Friday
they're
afternoon.
both screaming at each other.
Well, Bexley's screaming, and she can hear Josh like talking in hushed tones.
Yeah.
Ellen goes in, and then the HR lady goes in, and like all the things. And she's like,
hashtag poncho rules. She goes in there. It's still not an appropriate time for her to be wearing a poncho.
It's not.
Yeah.
So Lucy is sure that they've been found out, that people know they're seeing each other, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ellen comes out and talks to her a bit, and she's like, this weekend, you're ready for the interview. You need to hang out. You need to enjoy your life. You need to take a break.
Chill.
And this is what I'm telling you to do as your boss. And she's like, but is Josh okay? And she's like, yes. It's just a little workplace disagreement. I brought the HR lady in to remind them that they need to have good attitudes or whatever. And then Josh comes out and he's like, all right, shortcake, are you ready? And he grabs her coat.
Also, she says, you're sweet to be concerned for him, darling, but Josh is a big boy and you need to be a lot more concerned about Mr. Bexley, which I thought was like, he's going to have an aneurysm or something. Like, Josh is fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, So he's like, you ready to go?
He grabs her coat.
Yeah. And she's like standing outside the elevator, and he takes his arm and puts it around her waist and like drags her back into the elevator. And she sees Helen come out of her office, and like, I don't remember what she does, but she does some cute like smile and like shimmy.
Yeah. And Lucy's like, oh my God. Oh no.
Helen
Like,
just
that's
saw
my boss.
you drag me into the elevator with physical contact. Like, how dare you? Now she knows. Yeah.
Oh my God. Ellen saw you holding my coat. You would never hold my coat. And he goes, I literally am holding your coat right now. So he grabs her bags out of her car, and she's like, wait, we can't leave my car here. They'll know that we left together. And he's like, nobody's going to fucking care. She's like, well, what if I go like just park it in the woods somewhere and cover it with branches?
Which never works, by the way. Guys,
Never
if
works.
you're doing a crime, don't
Yeah.
park your car in the woods and cover it with branches. That's not,
Don't
you got to
do
put
it.
it underwater or under the earth. This is Law and Order with Erin. All right.
Or just leave it somewhere plausible
Yeah.
and take a different
just
car somewhere.
Plain sight, switch the license plate.
There
I would
you
never
go.
condone such a thing.
No,
But
no.
in the
Terrible
woods
idea.
with branches is so clearly you're
it's
guilty.
a dead giveaway.
And also branches don't hide a car.
No, they do
All right.
not.
Okay.
Find
all
a
right, sorry.
cave.
Small
Okay,
detour.
so yeah, we're detouring all over the place this episode. All right.
Yeah.
So they get in the car and they start going. Josh is driving. They have some really good conversation during the drive. He takes her to dinner at a diner, which is super cute. He calls it, their romantic spot. They're like their first romantic date.
Because he was talking about how nice guys take you out for dinner, and he's not a nice guy. So he's like, here I am, a nice guy. Here's your fucking dinner at this diner, sort of thing. It was cute.
Yeah. So she's driving, and he starts just like kind of bearing his soul.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you have the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen. And I really thought that dream was about me. And she's like, Josh, it definitely was about you. It wasn't like I told you. And she tells him the whole dream, how he just like held her down and smiled at her, and she woke up on the verge of coming.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, is that all it would take? Because that can be arranged.
And she says she wants to crack his skull open and like figure out what's going on in his brain, because she only knows surface level stuff about him. And so they start kind of talking about what makes him tick. And he's like, I've just never had somebody try to do this. And she's like, what, crack your skull open? Because I'll do it with a hammer if necessary.
Yeah. And so they show up at the hotel. He attempts to get her separate room, but it does not work out. A guy hits on her while she's in the lobby, and he's like, nice try, buddy. Like, takes her up to the room. Mm-hmm. And then she just climbs him again. She just starts hardcore aggressively making out with his face. And Joshua is more of a gentle kisser. And she's like, there is nothing gentle about me right now, because I mean business.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I think at one point he looks down at her and she goes, let's do this. And then she goes, I should write sonnets. She's so romantic. So she's on top of him in a chair. And then he gets a call from his mom.
Right, yeah. And there were so many good passages in that, but that was another time where I was reading, but then I had to go do something in my life. And so I'm like, shit, so I switched to audio. But I remember it being very good. Anyway, all right.
God, the whole thing is so good.
The audiobook is fantastic as well.
It is, yes.
So he has to go help his mom move up flowers because the hotel staff isn't helping her move flowers, Jesus. And so he's got to go do it. He's got to go yell at some hotel staff and go do that. So she's like, okay. And so like she turns on the TV, and then she just kind of like falls asleep after a while.
Yeah. And then the next morning they wake up at 12:45, and she's like, hey, when's the wedding? And he's like, 2 p.m., but we have to be there earlier. She's like, it's 12:45. We have to go. And he just pushes her arm out so that she has to lay back down and snuggles with her more.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Then they talk about exes a little bit while they're getting ready. She says she has like some shitty exes that were not good in bed or what. It does. Her exes don't matter.
No.
His ex, he said he has one long-term relationship. All the other women have just been like using him for his body. That's why I was so surprised that she's like trying to find out stuff about him.
Right.
And the one other long-term relationship he had, he describes her as like a tall, well, she guesses, and he affirms that it's like a tall, leggy, tan, blonde, supermodel-esque woman. So that's important. Then, she went and got a dress that is the Tiffany blue, that is her favorite color, that is the same color of the walls of his bedroom. And she's like, he's going to think I'm a serial killer. I got a dress that matches the walls of his bedroom.
Yep, it's bedroom blue.
Yeah.
And then she comes out and he's ironing and she's like, seriously, your body is insane. Like your body. And she's like, why are you so self-conscious? And that's when she finds out that women have only wanted him for his body.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, I'm going to stop objectifying him so loudly from now on.
Yeah, I'm
like,
going to do
I'm
it
not going to stop
quiet.
objectifying him. Right. So she sends him down to get a drink because he's like vibrating with nerves. And she finishes getting dressed, goes down, and he tells her again, because she makes a comment about how she's a psycho in the blue dress. And he's like, you're so beautiful. Like, stop it. So they get to the wedding, and he tucks her under his arm again. Not like a newspaper this time, just regular.
No, the nice tucks are under his arm. Yeah.
Yeah. And takes her into the church, like sort of being rude to all of his relatives on the way in. This is when she meets his mom and dad, Elaine and Anthony.
Yeah. Which again, if you're going to have her boss named Helene, do not name his mom Elaine. But, all right.
Yeah. So then the mom is really, really wonderful and nice. The dad is very taciturn and standoffish and gruff. And Lucy's like, well, I'm going to be nice to the mom, but I'm not going to try to charm the dad. Like, whatever.
Well, he's also told her that his dad, like during the car ride, that his dad ignored him, that his dad wanted him to go into medicine, has been an asshole, and like he was not the favorite child, that the other child was, that Patrick was the one that he paid attention to.
No, that hasn't happened.
That hasn't happened yet?
No, I'm pretty sure that happens after the wedding. I mean, she knows that there's weirdness. She knows that she's supposed to be moral support for something, but she is completely in the dark as to what that is.
Okay, well, it's definitely been hinted at that he was like supposed to go into medicine, and his dad
absolutely
is not. They're not friends.
Yes. Yeah. She asked him if there's any, like bombs that she's walking into, and he's like, well, I talk to my mom every Sunday, but I haven't actually seen them in a few months. So there's obviously something happening, but she's not sure what it is. So the wedding happens. It's super cute. Mindy is beautiful in her pink cupcake dress.
Yeah, and she's a tall, leggy, tan, blonde
with
Lucy,
brown eyes.
You're such a dummy. But all right.
So she cries at the wedding. So does Elaine. Elaine has more reason to, but weddings get
Some
to me
people
too
just
sometimes.
cry at weddings. It's fine.
Yeah. So they go back to the hotel. He tries to pull her up to the room, and she's like, "No, Templeman, you get in there." She pats him on the butt and sends him on the field, basically. But they go around, and he is just like he's standing there being like, "Aunt Trudy, this is Lucy. Lucy, Aunt Trudy." And then nothing else. And she's carrying all of the conversations the whole time and just guzzling champagne and like trying to track down canapes.
Yeah. She said that the hors d'oeuvre guy.
Eat. Yeah. She keeps tackling the hors d'oeuvre guy because she is my girl. Yeah. That is how
more
that should
is
go.
more.
That's right.
Yeah, so she's like exhausted because she's carrying all the conversation, and people keep being like, "Oh, how did you meet?" And it's like, well, we're not even like really together, so I don't really know how to do this. And like,
when they take pictures, they take super cute pictures, and she's like, it's all romantic and adorable. And then when they go back into the wedding, she's like, you know what? I need a break. It's your turn to talk to people while I stare at you and feel you up, because that's been what he's been doing. He's just been staring at her and touching her the whole time. She's being like, so do you like foosball? I like foosball. Having no idea what to say to his relatives. And then she tries to get out of him like, what the fuck is going on? Because people keep on giving him these like pitying, concerned looks, and she cannot figure out why. So he won't tell
she's
her.
a dummy.
So they go to dinner, and the two things that are of note here are his dad gives a toast, which is the worst toast in the land.
In which he says Mindy chose the right Templeton. Woof!
Templeman. Yes.
Whatever. That one.
Yeah.
Templeman.
Is rough. He also uses language as if he only has one son. Like it's a mess. Yeah. So then by the end, Josh and Mindy are just humping cake because Anthony doesn't want anyone to eat cake.
Yeah. So that's Josh's dad, Anthony.
Yeah.
And he's like, cake is not healthy. All your arteries will clog. So they have like 15 pieces of cake.
Yeah. And then she's like, okay, you know what? We're going to go. And she takes him over to the corner and she's like, what the fuck is going on? Because your dad's being a dick. Your mom is upset. Things are tense. What am I missing? And he's like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom and then I'll come and I'll tell you the whole stupid story. So he leaves her there. She sees Mindy, who's like talking to some old folks. And so she's like, you know what? I should wish the bride good day.
Haven't gotten a chance to meet her yet. So
yeah. So she goes over and Mindy's like, I have been so waiting to meet you. Josh is like enamored with you. It's amazing. He was never like that when we dated. And Lucy's like, I'm sorry? Like, wait, what? And then she's like, she's the tall, tan blondie with brown eyes. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I've been
and
so
her
blind.
world is crashing around her. It is a mess. Mindy was like, he's an Iceman with me. He never looked at me the way he looks at you. I started dating his brother a year ago, right around the time that the merger happened. Wink, wink. And then wink, wink, listener. Not wink, wink, Lucy.
It's so funny that you're winking at audio. Anyway.
Whatever, bitches. Okay. So Lucy's freaking out, and then it's time. So then these big, strong arms wrap around her, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? You better go catch that bouquet." And she's wigging out.
Not about it. Yeah.
Not about it.
So she gets pushed onto the floor to go catch the bouquet, and what's her face? Mindy throws it right at her because she's trying to be like nice and cool and
a good lady,
okay about the situation. Yeah. And it just hits
Lucy
Lucy square in the chest, and she doesn't even try to catch it. And everybody's just like, she could have caught that. And then Lucy just walks the fuck away. Yeah, she's out of the ballroom. She's across the street. She's done.
Oh, yeah. She's out by a lake somewhere contemplating swimming all the way to whatever continent is next.
Yeah, which you can't do in a lake, Lucy, but that's okay.
You know what? Whatever, guys. So then her mom, so she hears footsteps and she's about to round on Joshua to give him a piece of her mind, but it's his mom.
It's his mom.
Oh my God. Elaine, what are you doing here?
They have a wonderful little heart to heart. It's so nice.
Do. And she's like, Lucy's crying and she's like, I never thought that he would like stoop this low and or act like this. And the mom's like he's in love with you? Is that how you think he was acting? Because I know all about you. He calls me every Sunday and tells me all about you. Like, Aww. And he describes you as like a Disney princess or like it's ridiculous. So it's so sweet. And Josh comes out and she's like, so thanks. The other shoe has dropped. I get it now. I wish I hadn't come. I'm going to get the bus home. And he's like, wait. You think you're here for moral support because of Mindy? And she's like, obviously, she's the tall blondie, you dumbass. You should have just gotten a rent-a-date. Oh my God, my favorite thing. Because he's like, I couldn't have told you. She's like, how could you not tell me? And he's like, I couldn't have told you because you would freak out. You would have acted like this and you wouldn't have agreed to come. I couldn't tell you. There was no point in which that would have been okay. And she's like, well, you know what? At the very least, he's kind of right because I don't know if I would have come. And if I had come, I definitely would have worn false eyelashes. I would have created a different persona and I would have worn false eyelashes. So good.
She's all of us in that moment.
Yeah. So then they go back up and she's like, I'm not going back to the room. And she sees that Danny has texted her 87 million times about the book he's making for her.
Yeah. What font do I do? What
Yeah.
colors? Blah, blah, blah.
So she gives him a call and they start talking. And at the end of the conversation, she's like, maybe I should bring pizza when I come like check out the thing you've done for me. And he's like, ooh, I would really like that. Also, what did you wear to the wedding? And she's like, a blue dress. And then once again, Josh just Dracula's right up.
Like a Dracula.
Yeah. He grabs the phone from her and is like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, do not call her again. And hangs up on Danny. And he's like, that guy? Like, you stop in the middle of our discussion to go escape and call that guy? And she's like, he's helping me with a work thing. And he's like,
by asking you what you're wearing?
yeah. He's so pissed. So he's like, all right, you know what? Between Danny and Mindy, we've each had our own little jealous revelations, haven't we? So why don't we just like get this over with now? Is he someone you could love? Do you want him? Do you want to date Danny? And she's like, no, I don't care if I ever see him again, you dumbass. And he's like, well, I feel the same way about Mindy. Yes, we dated, but like, she's a much better fit with my brother. She was never going to be my wife. And like, they can have 10 children and I don't give a shit. And she's like, okay, fine then. What's this moral support about then? And then he bears his whole soul, everybody. He tells her all about he and his dad's relationship. He says that Mindy didn't break my heart. If anybody broke my heart, it was my dad. Woo! And his dad, like, didn't ever pay any attention to him. He only wanted one son, and then he threw all of his energy into his one son.
He didn't even go to his graduation party. It's, like, awful.
Oh, my God. He wouldn't even take off of work to, or, like, just switch shifts in order to go to his son's. I was a little unclear about this. I think it was, like, graduating first year of med school. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But anyway, when his brother graduated from med school, he got his grandfather's Rolex, and Josh got not even a mention. Ridiculous. Yeah. Then his dad was like even more disappointed when he quit because he was like, I did this thing to get my dad's approval. I didn't get his approval. So why am I killing myself? I'm going to just stop. Like, no more. We're not doing this anymore. Right. And so he applied for 20 jobs and accepted the first position, which was at Bexley Publishing, and the rest is history.
Which is in stark contrast to Lucy, who all she ever wanted was to work for a publishing company, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So now it's on.
Oh, guys.
Sexually.
It is so sexually on. Wowzers. And this shit was good, right?
Yeah, it was really good. And I found it to be really realistic, too.
Same.
Like, yeah, it was real
I love
good.
the fact that like there were awkward moments. Like at one moment he's kneeling over her and he wants to take off her negligee situation, her like under thing. And he's like, I'm gonna shift around. I feel too tall. So they reshift in the middle of this sex scene. He sits up against the headboard and she leans back on him. And then he starts giving her this massage that's really out of nowhere. And everything is really like slow and methodical.
She's his Easter bunny egg. And like she at some point, well, also he's like, are you going to like freak out about this? Like, are you going to be cool or are you going to freak out? And she's like, I'm going to freak out. Like, it's just
I think
clear.
She says, she's like, I'm going to die tonight. Take off your pants. And he goes, I want that embroidered on a pillow.
And she wants him to lie on top of her, like put all his weight on top of her because that was her like sexy dream. And he's like, I'm really heavy and you're really small. Like I'm probably going to flatten you like a pancake. And she's like, I've had a good life.
That's right.
Let's just do this.
And then he gets up to like finish disrobing because he's gotten her completely naked. And he still has his pants on. And so she's like, Josh, this is unfair. You've got to take your pants off. So he gets out of bed, takes off his pants, and she's like, oh, my God. And then he takes off his boxer briefs, and she's like, oh, my God. And then he flicks off the light. She's like, no, this is unfair.
Turn it on. And then after they have sex, he's like, hey, how you doing? Like, how was it? Was it good? And she's like, I'm a ghost. I've died.
He's like, I didn't know I was lethal.
Yeah.
Oh, and then my other favorite, he goes to take care of the condom, and it's portrayed as her inner monologue in like italics. It says, best sex of my life, best backside I've ever seen. And he goes, really now? And she goes, fuck, I said that out loud. So then he's like, okay, we need a strategy so that you don't freak out in the morning. And she's like, you know what? We're going to politely say good morning, and then we're going to do it again. So good. And then they basically do. She goes and takes a shower. She looks like Alice Cooper again because of her mascara. And he just comes into the shower casual like they do it every day. And then it's like manual stimulation, right?
Yeah,
it's some standing up manual stimulation. It's good shit.
Yeah.
They like come looking into each other's eyes.
It was good. Yeah. They play the staring game.
While they come.
It's good stuff.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and while they were having sex the night before, he turned on the light like right before he penetrated her, and she was like, "We've never played the staring game with you inside me. Like this is the best version of that game." Okay, so then it is time for family breakfast. She was invited the night before by his mom, and they check out of the hotel. There's this clerk who's really taking her time so that she can get as much eye candy as she can out of Josh. And Lucy's like, it's like I'm invisible. Although, and then I really think Sally Thorne nailed a universal truth in this scene.
Ooh.
Because universal truth. Are you ready?
What is it? Yeah, I'm ready.
While they're standing at the counter, she's like, I can't really blame this clerk, because when you're faced with all of this like raw masculinity being so completely soft and gentle and sweet, because he's like holding her and he's kissing her on the temple and he's like looking at her with love in his eyes. She's like, you can't help but just fall in love with that dichotomy. And it's so true. It's one of the reasons that like dads are hot. You know what I mean? Yeah, dudes who nurture. I'm into it.
So then dad and brother are assholes to Josh at breakfast. I don't really remember what is said.
Yeah. Lucy gets up, and then when she comes back, his dad is like we don't know how it starts, because when she gets back, they're in the middle of the fight.
Yeah.
And the dad is like, why'd you give up medicine? Why'd you do all this shit? And she just goes into him. She's like, hey, and immediately starts defending him.
She's like, he's the only reason this publishing company is staying afloat, and he knifed 30% of the workforce so that, 70% could keep their jobs, and he does stuff better than anybody and better than me, and just lays it all out there. Like, you should be proud of him, and you're the worst dad ever. It's very reminiscent.
It's a really good takedown. Yeah.
Tiffany Rice's Her Naughty Holiday.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, very reminiscent. And I love a
That's
good
the Thanksgiving one, right?
Her verbal thrashing. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I love a good verbal
very
thrashing.
Reminiscent of that.
It delivers. And so then by the end of it, she's like, you know what? I don't like you, but if you want to come visit us, we'll go to lunch and a movie. But I think there's going to be no more razzing of Josh except by me, because he loves it. And they bounce. So then they drive the 3 hours back to his house. And by the time they get there, she's fully freaking out because she realizes she is
loves him.
She is fully madly deeply in love with Joshua Templeman.
Truly madly deeply.
Yep.
And she has this thought where she's like, oh, here it is. She's thinking to herself, and she's thinking, you love him, you always have, more than you've ever hated him, every day, staring at this man, knowing every color and every expression and nuance. Every game you've ever played has been to engage with him, talk to him, feel his eyes on you, to try to make him notice you.
Oh, it's so good.
So they get back to his apartment. And she's being super weird.
And yeah, and he's like, okay, go sit down. He starts wrapping her in blankets like a shock victim. And he's like, tell me what's going on. What's inside your brain? He feeds her and he's like trying to get it out of her. It's not working. So they end up back in his room and she starts crying. And he's like, oh, now we're getting somewhere. And she says, oh, because earlier he had said that he couldn't smile at her when they met because he knew that if he smiled at her, he would immediately just like fall in love with her and that would be the end. And so he's in the room with her and he's like, Lucy, you've borne more than any person possibly could. Like, I've been so misguided in the way that I've treated you, and I'm so sorry. And I wish that I had just smiled at you that first day. And she goes, I wish you had smiled at me too. And like, she's like, his really smart brain is going to figure out in like 2 seconds that I wish he smiled at me because I want him to be in love with me. And he's like, Lucy, it didn't matter. I've been in love with you since I saw you at the first anyway. And she's like, you love me?
She's like, you love what? You love what?
He's like, you. She's like, me? And he's like, will you get some ID just so I can confirm? But yeah, guys, she didn't realize he painted his walls the color of her eyes.
The color.
Her eyes are Tiffany blue. I can't even. So they have this whole breakdown talk. It's amazing. And in my brain, and then he says that it doesn't matter about the interviews because
he quit.
Yeah, he quit on Friday. That's what the big fight was about.
And he told Helene that he had the weekend to make her fall in love with him. And that's why Helene was smirking as he grabbed her and pulled her into the elevator.
Oh, swoon. And then she's like, but wait, now you're going to think that like you could have beaten me anytime. And he's like, no, I am an evil mastermind. I have created a situation that will also feed our competitiveness. I've taken a position as like the chief finance officer at the rival publishing house. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, but I had to tell him that I was going to be in love with the chief operating officer of our biggest rival. And he had to sign forms about it. So cute. So anyway, everything is fabulous. They're the best. I imagine that since she never decorated her apartment, she's just going to move her Smurfs into his apartment like
her
within a week and a half.
Yeah. They'll match.
It's going to be the best.
I saw on Flamethrowers that there are a lot of people who didn't like this ending, and I don't know what
they wanted.
Yeah,
I think they wanted like an epilogue that would be like, look at Lucy and Josh at Sky Diamond Strawberry Farms. Like, I want the scene where he meets his dad and he grovels. Like, I wouldn't hate that. Hey, Sally, if you ever want to write a short story, let a bitch know.
I wouldn't hate it, but I also didn't need it. I mean,
I didn't need it either.
Yeah.
No. I loved the ending. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved this book so much I read it 5 times.
I don't like it when there's just things added onto the books to be like, they had kids. Like, I don't like extra stuff when there's like no stakes and no controversy. Like, it's like, whatever. I just want it to end when it ends. Anyway, okay. Do you have a lady love?
I do. Here's my lady love. Invest in your body somehow in the next like few days. I don't know what that means for you, whether it's like going to a yoga class or making that dentist appointment you've been putting off or
go to the dentist.
No, I mean like you only have one body, and whether it's deciding to commit to an anti-inflammatory diet or to commit to eating all of the cupcakes, like do something for your body. Because the mind, the body, the emotions, they're all connected, and you gotta love your body just as much as you love yourself. Yeah. That's my lady love. Also, I have to call the dentist because I haven't been in 6 years. 6
years? Melody.
I know, it's going to be really bad.
If I don't go to the dentist on the regular, I think it's twice a year, they don't let me take my vacation days.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. The Army is a blessed thing in a lot of ways.
Kind of. It's just that I'm trying to take a couple days of leave next month, and until I go get a hearing check, they're not letting me take it. But I'm out of town so much, I'm never in town when the hearing check is,
Yeah.
Anyway, you got to listen to these beeps, and if anyone out there is in the Army, it's like the beeps are not there, but they're there, and you don't know if they're in your head or not, and you're just clicking the thing, hoping that the beeps are happening so that you can pass the hearing test. It's very stressful. Anyway, there's a lot of memes about this. They're out there. I need to have a word about Pink, the singer Pink. Remember when we had a word about Kesha?
I love Pink. Yeah, I
Right,
love
is
Pink.
it okay to love Pink? Like, is it a cool thing to still like Pink? Or have ever liked Pink?
Yes, I fully complete. I was at a party a couple of months ago, and a Pink song came on, and then another Pink song came on, and my friend was like, Melody, you've known every single word to both of these songs. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a big flaming Pink fan.
No one's ever out there like, oh, we're big fans of Pink, but I think I'm a big fan of Pink. And so I had this conversation with my friend Tiffany where we were just like talking about how great Pink is for the whole like 2-hour drive back from somewhere.
She does circus acts.
And I was like, have you seen that Grammys performance where they dunked her in water? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't think I have.
So she did this whole like, silk thing, when you do the silks. And they dunked her in water. She sang Glitter in the Air. This has been like 5, 7, 8 years ago. Yeah. And they dunked her in water, and then she spun real fast, and she sprayed the whole Grammys audience with like water. And then she did another one, I think it was at the AMAs, where she did like a full-on contemporary dance with like a guy while singing. It's crazy. If you have not watched those 2 videos, go watch those 2 videos. It will make you feel great. You will be ready to take on the day.
She is A, so talented, B, so, I don't know. She's
genuine,
just like
honest.
Yes.
Self-possessed.
And talk about somebody who invests in her body. Like,
she does.
On the regular. Right. Yeah, she's amazing.
Pink. P, exclamation point, NK. Google it.
Get into it.
As if you've not heard of Pink.
Get into it.
Yeah, is that it? Are we done now?
I think so. So guys, you should follow us on our social medias. We have on Instagram, it's at Heaving Bosoms. On Facebook, it's at Heaving Bosoms Podcast. We also have a really fucking fun group. It's called the Heaving Bosoms Podcast Geriatric Friendship Cult. And like, shit's going down there. It's really, really fun. Book recommendations, how you got into romance novels, a bunch of shit. And then we have Twitter at Heaving_Bosoms. And you can email us anytime at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. And
we might get back to you. We also might not. We don't have a secretary. It's hard, guys.
You know what? We will get back to you, but it might take a minute in some cases. Yeah. So, follow us. I actually think that we're doing a pretty good job on social media.
We're at like 70% Erin. Response rate on email. We're doing okay.
It's more than that.
I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta go through it again. All right, I'll go through it again just to be sure, because I thought I responded to everybody. Maybe not. Okay, so Erin, keep being a badass.
Ooh.
And love yourself as much as you love less aggressive furniture.
Set it on fire. All right.
All right, I love you. Go catch your flight.
All right.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.